kids. Start smoking weed.
Instagram
Get
versus
a
real life.
cool mustache and a cool haircut.
That's high school.
That's college. Freshman year of college.
We're good.
That's just like steamed turkey all the time.
No, it was like I was like counting my like macros, or so I was eating like Chipotle and shit like that, but it was like meticulous as fuck. Like it was like, oh, I can't go out with
Meticulous
you guys. I
Chipotle?
can't eat.
Yeah,
Like, I already have my
yeah.
food picked.
You
And
can't
like it
go
was
out.
like you can go out, but like then you're just like fuck. Everyone's eating pizza and drinking beer, and like you can't do any of that shit.
Yeah, it's not. You're not really being a person.
Yeah. No, it was definitely what I had used in college to like get through my like addictive personality. Like it was
Sure.
like I'm working out and I'm fucking making sure everything's good.
Yeah.
I'm working out.
And then I
making
started
sure-
smoking weed.
Yeah, and then it was all downhill.
But now I'm much happier.
Yeah, like we just died. Like, dude, that corpse is ripped. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
My good intro.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect, sweet. Hey, welcome to another episode of Peaked. My co-host JP Noda.
What's good, yo?
Today's guest, very excited, Kevin Christy.
What up?
Very funny comic, and today's episode is going to be all about skateboarding, and I'm very excited. I was already watching the Tony Hawk skateboarding doc.
Bro.
You had talked about it,
Bro.
and then I talked to you about it,
Bro.
and then we all found out we all skateboarded,
Bro.
and then we all cried watching this doc.
Absolutely.
Everyone who's texted me about it is like, dude, I'm crying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dude, for me, it was the shit with his mom. Like right off the rip, bro. They just
All
throw
right.
that right in your face.
My mom died of dementia like in July. And I met Tony on Whitney's podcast like just before that. Like I'm talking like a week before it.
Wow.
And his mom died of Alzheimer's. And I was like, man, I didn't bring it up then. I didn't want to like ruin the podcast.
yeah.
But he talked about it a lot on his Instagram. And it just kind of like prepared me like, all right, it's just one of those things. It's the worst. It's one of the worst ways. Like, anyone who's been through it before it happens to you, they're like, oh, yeah, that's the worst. It's just the worst.
It's the worst. So my dad's father died of dementia.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about that is like when he was a big part of my life when I was growing up, and then I moved, so I didn't get to see him a lot after a certain after I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So as the dementia started kicking in, I couldn't go see him because when I went to go visit him, he thought I was a younger version of my father, and my dad would be there, and it would freak him out.
Yeah.
But if he saw like my cousin who was younger and looked like me, he'd be like, "Oh, that's Frankie," because
Yeah.
that's how he remembered me.
Yeah.
But he just never remembered me as this guy. So it was like I couldn't see him. It was so fucking tough.
The fragility of that brain space when it kicks in for real is bizarre.
Yeah, it's wild.
You just don't even you have to separate yourself from it like emotionally, because it's just like, your mom's yelling at your face, "Where's my son?" And you're like, "I'm standing here."
Yeah.
And she's like, "My son doesn't love me. Where is he?" And you're like, dude.
You can't
Yeah,
help
it's so fucking
Like, you're just like, all right, see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's just fucking brutal, dude.
it's
But yeah,
rough.
Tony Hawk is like, my brother is adopted and isn't white. And so his favorite skater was Christian Hosoi. Because you got to remember in the 80s, there weren't very many skaters that weren't white.
Yeah.
It was a predominantly like white dudes, basically. So Christian Hosoi was like one of the only ones. And he was like the best, right? So my brother's obsessed with Christian Hosoi. I was obsessed with Tony Hawk. Like I had the haircut. Like I've had the board. Like I was Bones Brigade. I subscribed to the Bones Brigade newsletter. Like I got the patch. Like I was obsessed.
How and what year was this?
This would be like 85, 86.
So then you were watching like the videos as they were dropping.
Yeah, I mean, I probably I didn't have any money, so I couldn't buy the videos. Like they'd be on in a skate shop, but like I think the first one I had the money to buy was the second one, which the Future Primitive. So I probably bought we bought Future Primitive, or our parents bought it for us, and then we definitely got Animal Chin as soon as it came out.
And how much were those videos at that
I
time?
think they were $30.
I think Fully Flared when I first bought that was like $30 or $40.
It may have been like $25 or $30, which was like a fortune for a video, because you're like, well, I can't write it. I'm just gonna watch it. But like, it did really help you learn to skateboard.
Yeah.
Because up until then, it really was just photos.
Yeah.
Right. It was all photos all the time, and you couldn't even the sequence photos. You're like, yeah, I guess. Like, you couldn't see it.
Yeah, you got to see it in full motion.
Yeah, skate video. Those early skate videos really taught me how to skateboard because you could just see how they got up to it and how they like got off, a curb or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, I loved watching those. There was no access to a ramp in my life at all. I didn't know anyone with the ramp.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in La Crescenta.
Oh, okay.
And North Hollywood. I went and skated Upland, that park in the documentary. But my mom would only drive us there like maybe once a month because it was like an hour. It's like an hour away.
Yeah.
So she would drive us there.
And to be a mom, to be like, I got to drive my kids to a park
and then hang out,
watch them possibly.
She would drive us on a Saturday and then just sit in the car and read for like 5 hours. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I think that's probably what gave her dementia. Getting cooked in a Honda Civic, you know what I mean? Trying to make her way through a Danielle Steele novel. It's like watching her kids be bad at skateboarding and then getting in the car smelling like goats to drive us back to La Crescenta from Upland.
That's so. Someone had that aspect where it was like, imagine being a parent and seeing all the stuff your kids get into, and then they're like bad at it.
Yeah.
Like my favorite story was like, because like I love skateboarding. It was my favorite. I bugged my dad so much to buy me a skateboard, and he did. I ended up getting one of the Tony Hawk decks because we were talking about on the ride over here, like Tony Hawk. That was our whole generation, like the games, all that.
The game, yeah.
I skateboarded to and from school, and I remember one day my dad never lets me live this shit down. I was tired, and I was like, "Can you just drop me off like a few blocks away from school so I can just skate the rest of the way?" And he did. But on the way to work for him was still towards my school. So I had to, so he dropped me off like a block before, and then I ended up skating to the light, and he ended up like catching up to me. And then as I'm crossing this crosswalk, he like rolls down his window and just screams, "Poser!" And I fucking eat it. I eat it so hard because I wasn't expecting. I was just, and I like I caught a rock or some shit, and I just ate it in front of everybody, and everyone was like, and my friend was just like, "Who is that guy that yelled at you?" And I didn't have the heart to tell anyone it was my dad.
Dude, the craziest thing to me is how accepted skating got for people your age. Because when I was in elementary school, I skateboarded to school, but I had to hide my board at this guy's house because they banned it at my elementary school. Wow. We had this principal named Mrs. Buckley who was a shithead. And she fucking decided, she was just like my dad was a elementary school teacher. Okay. And even later on, he was like, "Oh yeah, she was an asshole." But at the time, he was like, "You have to respect her." You know what I mean? Of course, yeah. So, but like she banned skateboards at school. So, because before that, you could kind of skate to school and like leave it somewhere and it was fine. Yeah. But she banned them because she decided they were like bad or rebellious or leading to crime or whatever. Like that, it was still that kind of thing.
That's so
in the middle of the 80s where it was like skaters are bad kids and you can't let them have their skateboards around because you're encouraging bad kids.
Which basically is such a funny, like, because they did that with like music. They do that with like everything that comes out of it.
There was a kid in our class who. There was like an underpass that we used to skate, and he spray painted Metallica on it. Did a pretty good job. Straight up.
Killed it.
And I think his name was Anthony. He came to our school. Like, he didn't go there the whole time. He, like, transferred into our school one day, and he was, like, a metal kid. And I'll be honest, our elementary school was mostly full of total pussies. Yeah. Like, and this kid was, like, legit tougher than all of us. Like, this kid I knew decided to, like, get in a fight with him, and Anthony handled him so fast. We were just all like, "Oh, that's what real fighting looks like." He fucked him up really quick. And then he spray painted Metallica under the underpass. And we all liked Metallica, but like the teachers were all like, "Which one of you did it? We know you all like this band. So one of you did this." And he also was a skater because, Metallica had those Zorlak boards. Yep. And it was just like that whole thing in the 80s. It was all just like satanic panic and skateboarding and the leftovers of punk. It was just like, you kids are bad. Yeah. And then all the skate parks were closing because of liability insurance. Like Upland, when Upland closed, it was just like, that's what really changed skateboarding because there was nowhere to skate.
Was there like a thing that happened where there like, did everyone was like, "Oh, liability insurance"? Did someone?
It's like one person sued. And so then like, I remember, my mom would talk to the guy who ran the Upland skate park because she'd be there for 5 hours. She was one of the only adults. And he'd be like, "Yeah, we can't get an insurance policy. Because this is just kids hurting each other, hurting themselves all day long." So they couldn't get an insurance policy. And so he was like, "If one person sues us, we just have to close." So it was just always them waiting for some overreactive parent to fucking sue because your kid was doing something willfully dangerous. Yeah. It's like, they rented pads, they rented helmets. It was just like, yeah, this is a cement obstacle course. You're going to get wrecked. Yeah. So do it or don't. But like when your kid snaps his fucking spine, you paid admission. Like, you have a membership card. Like, you knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
And then those laws kind of changed.
Yeah.
And that's when you saw skate parks all come back. But there was this huge gap between probably 89, 90, where all of it went away. And there was no big places to skateboard. And that's why you saw street skating get so big. Which is the funniest thing to me, is the clips of Tony Hawk's street skating. Because they weren't, Vert died so big that, like, he would enter street contests. And he would actually win some of them.
Yeah, didn't they say he won the first Street X Games?
Yeah, and it looked insane because he's way too tall. Like, he's so tall, and he had this board, which wasn't like a street skating board, but he was just so addicted to contest skating, and that's how he made a living, that he just was like, I'm just going to become a street skater. But even then, the courses weren't like what you see now on a street course. It was kind of a hybrid. There'd still be like some transitions and stuff. So he could do like a McTwist and then go skate off some stairs. It was a really weird setup. Yeah, it was a weird setup to watch, but he just, like, the only thing that dude knows how to do is skateboard.
Yeah.
I mean, and kind of run a company. But
and
like,
kind of run a company.
Kind of run a company. But I mean, Birdhouse was at one point really huge.
No, it was.
But it started out real dead.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I vividly. So, 89, I was born, and then
gross.
I know. But I remember, like, my first job when I was like in high school was at a Zoomies. It was at the Great Mall in San Jose, and they had like the Great Mall skate park opened up, and it was like, I just remember
It was
Tony
the
Hawk.
Van skate park.
It was the Van skate park. Yeah, it was the Van skate park. So it was like, it was a huge fucking skate park. It had like bowls and everything.
Yeah.
And I remember I would go there with my cousin. We'd just skate. I'd eat it a lot. And I remember.
That's what everyone does.
Yeah, there was the big bowl. And I remember my cousin kept trying to get me to drop in. And I was like, I don't know. I can't do it. And then I was like, I just remember like getting ready to chicken out. And I remember some 9-year-old kid just comes up and just fucking just drops in.
Yeah.
Like nothing. And then I was like, oh yeah, I don't think this is for me. I was like, yeah.
That's what happened. Like, the age of video, they came out with these like instructional videos. So all of a sudden you'd be at a park and I'm in my 20s and an 11-year-old is just flying like over your head where you're like, Doc, here comes a child. Like, it was really fucked, where you just had to be like, okay, I'm just gonna accept that I skate because I love it.
Yeah.
Not because I was never good.
No.
I just skated well enough to be a skater.
Yeah.
Because I was addicted to me. Because here's the reason. Fuck sports, dude. Like, fuck organized sports. Early on, I realized I didn't give a shit about like, I was on a little league team, and I remember we lost a game to go to the league championship, and everyone was crying but me. And I was just like, you guys are idiots. This is some geek shit. Like, you guys are dorks, dude.
Yeah.
I feel the way about organized sports that Dwayne Peters felt about Tony Hawk in that documentary. I'm like, I don't get this. You look like bugs, dude. Why are you all wearing a uniform, you geeks?
That was such a great moment too. That whole little like, because it was like, that feeling of being like the old guy and looking at the young. I think everyone has that at some point in their life as they get into something.
Well, Dwayne Peters, first of all, he has to be respected.
Yeah.
Dwayne Peters matters a lot to skateboarding because, I mean, there's a saying in skateboarding, style matters, and it's 100% true. Dwayne Peters, Steve Olson, those guys, like Dwayne Peters, they call him the master of disaster. That guy matters. And his skating really changed skating and what it's supposed to look like. And to be honest, the underlying kind of ethos of skateboarding comes from those guys. They're just like, fuck you, fuck everything. Let's break it all and then burn it down, and who cares? Like, that is essentially, to me, what skateboarding is and should be. So while Dwayne has done things to himself that have made him maybe a little less cognitive than you wish he would be, he's really important.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, everyone knows that. Tony knows that. Everyone knows that. Like, those guys matter.
Yeah.
Like, and Dwayne was a ripper in his day.
Yeah.
You know, much like Pauly Shore, who was a skater, and we did not know this.
Wait.
Guess what?
What?
I'm talking to Pauly one day in the hallway, and I go, you must have known all the, like, big 80 skaters like Christian Asone. He goes, yeah, dude, I used to hang out with him on the Sunset Strip. And he goes, well, I was amateur sponsored. And I was like, sorry, start over. He skated for the Pepsi team in the 70s. Now, the Pepsi team, it sounds like corny. The Pepsi team was literally one of the best teams in the world. They had like rad skaters. Before like traditional skate companies started, there was like the Hobie team, the Pepsi team, and Pauly was an amateur for the Pepsi team. He got discovered when he was like 9 at a skate park.
The Weasel?
The Weasel. Now you know why he was so good at being physical and shit. Always like in a crouch, like pretending like surf. He had surf style comedy.
Yeah.
Because he was part of that like thin wooden surf style skate scene, late 70s.
Yeah.
Before Dwayne Peters and those guys take that style and turn it into what it became, and then Tony takes what they were doing and turns it more technical.
So it's all because of Pauly.
Dude, it's not because of him, bro. I'm just saying, Christian Asoy wore a lot of scarves. And he's younger than Pauly Shore. Christian Asoy wore a lot of scarves, bro. He wore scarves on his head. He tied them to his fucking belt. And like, I don't look, man. The wheeze, bro.
Man, that's so
fucking awesome.
I couldn't believe it.
Wild.
Like, I was just like, why? Because we had him on our podcast, and he mentioned it like after. I was like, why wasn't this the whole podcast?
Way to bury the lead.
I'm like, you motherfucker. It's like, God damn it, Pauly.
That's fucking so wild.
Yeah. So like those guys, like I love that Dwayne was in it. You know what I mean?
You could tell it was like, and that anger that he had, and then the resolution with him and Tony, and even Tony still being very like, he still had love for him. I was like, oh yeah, that is fucking. Yeah.
Well, there's like, it's like getting older. At some point, there's a crossroads. And in skating, I've noticed, because I'm friends with Ed Templeton, and I went to his Hall of Fame induction for Transworld, and it was in Orange County. And he's like, you'd probably like going to this. You're going to see a bunch of dudes. And I was like, rad. So I go, and I'm like, I'm going to see all my heroes. There's two ways these guys go. They either turn into a Hawaiian shirt alcoholic, or they turn into like a health hippie kind of guy. And they look great, and they're cool, and like, there's really only two choices. It's like being into punk. Yeah. Like the mindset of that, as you get older, is tough, because the fuck everything attitude doesn't help you buy a home, or like pay attention to your health insurance premium.
Yeah.
It's hard to have that mentality that like nothing matters, because after a while you're like, this has to matter, or I'm gonna die. And it's tough. I think it's really tough. Because that mindset is what serves them when they're young. And it's what made them all famous.
Absolutely.
And made them all great, was that like, you have to be... I was talking to Ed about it once, and he was like, yeah, we've noticed that like when guys are going through a tough emotional time sometimes, their skating will get great, because they're like, I don't care. I don't care if I get hurt.
Yeah.
Jeff Rowley talked about that in an interview where like, some girl broke his heart, and then that's when he won Skater of the Year. Because he was like, I literally didn't care if I died. So it was just like, how many stairs is that rail? I don't give a fuck.
Let's fucking do it.
Let's do it. Who gives a shit? Like it that mentality is really, and you see it in that documentary. Tony Hawk can't let go. He can't
that's what he was saying when he brought it up. He was
saying, I don't think they show him landing the 900 in his own in his indoor facility during the documentary.
No, well he hasn't. I don't think he's landed one in a while.
Yeah. They just show him wrecking himself at like the reunion they did.
Yeah.
But like I was like the whole time they're showing him try it and try it and try it, and at the end you're just like, oh, fuck,
he
dude,
doesn't.
He's not gonna get it. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's so hard to fucking.
I think there's just something in his brain where he has a huge life. He's got a huge family, tons of kids, and all this stuff, all these things depending on him, right? And all he knows to do is like, well, all of this came from these tricks, so I have to keep doing these tricks. Otherwise, maybe it'll all go away or something. And it's like, no, man, you're good. Like, you're good, dude. You're a great ambassador. Like everything's, but like he can't let it go. I just talked to Ed about this the other day, and because Ed broke his leg like 5 years ago or something, and his wife was like, "That's a wrap, dude. You're gonna be 50." Like there's this great documentary about Ed, and his wife says in the documentary, like, you guys aren't going to be the one taking care of him.
Yeah,
I am.
Yeah,
like, so this shit's not that funny to me. Like, oh yeah, dude, come on, fucking rip. And it's like, no, dude, like from age 60 on, it's me. It's gonna be me. So like after this last break, she was like, "You're good. We're good. Like you're an artist now. Like you're success. Like we don't have to do this." And I like Tony. He never, besides having a company and being kind of an ambassador, it's only skating for him.
It's always been skating.
It's only skating, and it's only tricks. Mm-hmm. You know, he never really bought into the like gnarly persona lifestyle thing. It's just that guy has the most tricks. And I honestly think it's because of that, a lot to do with that friendship with Rodney Mullen.
And man, Rodney Mullen has always been like one of my big
savant,
heroes.
Man.
I love him. And just to hear him the way he talks now, you're like, holy shit.
Genius savant.
He's done so many psychedelics since then.
No.
Dude, I don't know the way he talks though, bro. Like even perspective and all that shit.
I
is
think
so
I don't
insane.
know that drugs have a lot to do with Rodney's thing at all. I think Rodney Mullen is an actual like savant.
It's like straight up like
Because he straight up invented most of what street skating is.
yeah. My first trick I ever landed was like the Casper flip.
Yeah.
First trick I ever learned.
He sees tricks and sees things in a way no one else really did. And so like I even when I briefly interviewed Tony on Whitney's podcast, I was like, who's the most important skater? He's like Rodney Mullen.
Yeah.
Because, you know, Tony's doing tricks on ramps that Rodney's doing on freestyle. Like Rodney had this bizarre perception. Like he is like I think he is an actual genius, like for real. And you can hear it in just the way he talks. Like he's obsessed with physics. Like he's trying to see the whole board and kind of see where skateboarding fits into it. Because it is all sciencey. It's a lot of like, you know.
I mean, physics. It's
all of
it's
it.
like all that. Yeah.
So I mean, some people were kind of don't know a lot about skating. We're kind of clowning him like he seems like a cult member. But I'm like, I'll join that cult, man. I'm good.
Yeah, no, every time I was
absolutely.
watching, I was like, dude, this is wonderful. Because I always just saw him skate. Like I've never heard him like talk or do interviews.
Oh, watch
ever.
the Bones Brigade documentary. It's because he went through a very similar thing where the pressure of always winning started to eat him up, you know, because his parents wouldn't let him be like a vert skater because it was too dangerous. They're like, you can do this kind of skating. So he just became the absolute best at it all the time. He had like a cement pad. He lived in Florida, I think. And there was like just a small cement pad. And he would just be out there like all night. Like a job. Like I got to learn these tricks. Like all the vert skaters at the contest, they'd be skating the contest, and then they wouldn't watch the freestyle competition because freestyle was a little geeky. But when Rodney was up, they'd all go watch.
Of course.
Because it was just like, well, what did Rodney invent?
Yeah.
You know, and he's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, to me, the most important skaters are Rodney Mullen and Mark Gonzalez. Tony is by far the greatest vert skater of all time, and he's Tony Hawk. He's the best ambassador. But between Gons and Rodney, Mark Gonzalez is like, to me, and Neil Blender in that documentary, the one who was like, yeah, I didn't try it.
Yeah.
They're really well, the best Neil Blender video, he's skating a street contest and he stops in the middle to take out a spray can and just do a drawing like on the wall. And I'm just like, what? Like as a kid, I was like, wait, as far as like being like a weirdo, like same with Lance is like Lance was like the funny weirdo skater. Neil Blender's just like the full weirdo guy. And then Gons is like also Neil and Gons are like these weirdo art rippers that were just like, no, skating is about being weird and creative. It's not this point. Skateboarding is not a sport. Put in the Olympics all you want. It's definitely not a sport. It's skateboarding.
Yeah.
Make all the money you want off it. I don't care.
Yeah.
But skateboarding is skateboarding because fuck sports forever. Sports just war propaganda, dude.
Yeah. Sports is war propaganda.
For real. Here's your uniform. Here's your general. We got to beat those people. It's war propaganda, dude.
Yeah.
Watch a football game. You see how many military commercials go on during it?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm doing it wrong. I love football. I love it. I can watch sports and enjoy it, but like, it is what it is. And
yeah,
like,
the national anthem wasn't introduced into sports games until what, the 60s, 70s?
They want the young men watching that stuff to be like, whoa, I can't be on the Patriots, but I can be a patriot. And like, okay, man.
Yeah, no dude skateboarding is going to be like, I can't wait to go to Afghanistan.
Dude. Exactly. I remember being in Little League and my coach was like, you have to stop skateboarding because if you get hurt, you can't play on the team. I was like, totally, I will. I definitely did not do that.
Yeah, I just
fuck you, dude.
Skateboarding to and from work, skateboarding everywhere, and that was just life. Also, like I didn't have a bike, so that was my
Well, I didn't want to ride a bike to school. It seemed dorky to me.
Yeah,
but I'm in Little League because I had the Tony Hawk bangs. It was a real problem. He was like, can you put them under your hat? I was like, what are we doing here, man? We playing for money? We're not. Like, I'm not good.
Is that trophy real?
I'm barely good. I bat 6th on a Little League team. That means you're not. He was like, you may bat 300 in Little League. That's not a good average. The best kid on our team was batting like 700.
Yeah.
Like, fuck this. Fuck sports forever, man.
One kid bunts, it'll change the whole game.
Oh, once you learned how to bunt, if you could bunt your way to a championship.
Yeah. That's how fragile the system is.
No, dude, I watched this my poor girlfriend, man. She had to put her AirPods in because I'm yelling at the screen. I'm yelling. I'm just like, I was fucking there. Like, I'm just like, like I'm yelling about the pipeline. They're like, the combi pool's tough. I'm like, no shit. Like, I'm just yelling because that pool used to beat it beat me up. I probably skated it 100 times. I probably successfully skated it without getting wrecked 7.
And that's one where it had like way more vertical vert.
It's way
than,
vert.
like,
It's
transition.
a square and a round bowl, and it has these awful. There's no slow way to roll in. There's like a kind of a roll in that you don't have to drop in on, but there's a hip. So by the time you hit that hip, you're hauling ass. So if you go into the square, well, now you got to hit the corner. And the corner, you saw that bail of Chris Miller. When Chris Miller, that's one of the worst bails of all time. And that was his local park. So when you hit that corner, if you're not ready to be hauling ass, it just throws you off your board like you just got shot out of a cannon.
Yeah.
And it's hot as shit. It's upland. This is the like
cement's hot,
dude. And so you just get defiled on the ground and you go all the way down. You're just laying there like a dead animal. And there's 30 kids waiting to go up top, just like, hurry up, get out. And dude, that I for whatever reason, I always felt I tried to skate the square one more than the round one because I didn't even know what to do in the round one. I was like, well, I know to go to the corner, turn around, and then I could just go back and forth like a half pipe. But every time I hit that corner, most of the time it just shot me onto the ground. It was just brutal. And you just get wrecked all day long. And there was easier bowls around that park. So that bowl was like the main one, right? And there was a pipe that was terrifying, like a full pipe. But you had even to get into that, like you were hauling ass by the time you got in the pipe. And it was lame to start at the bottom. You didn't want to be the person that like worked their way up.
Yeah.
You don't want to be that guy. So, but there was smaller bowls on the periphery and then a really long bank. Like, and I skated the bank a lot after the combi pole would like break my body. I'm like, I'm going to skate the bank for a little while.
I remember there was so I know you're making fun of me for longboarding, but when I was in high school,
and will continue to.
Yeah. My friend had like those like 7 foot, the ones that like as tall as you.
Yeah.
So in Temecula, it's all hills.
Sure.
And they're all they're like manufactured suburbs. So in between the like communities, they would have like walkways and parks and stuff. So my friend found one where you start at the top of the hill.
Mm-hmm.
You could go on for about like 2 solid miles.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Where you just hit one hill, then you go into the next, and you jump into this neighborhood. You could hop into the sidewalk that takes you all the way through this, basically a park, but it was just one cement fucking what is it called? Like just a walkway, but it was like concave.
Yeah.
So like we all hit it. I remember the first time I hit it, and I had like skateboarded, pretty well. And all these kids around me, it was like the first time we all skated together. So they were like, oh shit. Like I was like, fine. I was like, hey, I can hold my own. Like I'm fine. Once we got on this fucking pathway, everyone starts to fall back, and I'm just gunning it. And I'm like, what's going on? And then yeah. I passed my friend, and he was the one in front, and he turns and he just goes, and then I just go, what? And he's just like, he goes, all I can make out is he goes, it gets faster. And then I'm like, what? And it was one of those things where the wheels were going so fast. You know how you can hear them go like, they start to like rev up, and then they get to like a high, and then like the sound just stopped.
Yes.
And then it was like, oh shit, I've reached a speed to where like I can't hear the bearings anymore.
Yeah.
Broken
And
speed
then,
sound.
Yeah.
dude, because every time I try to like go to like try to like just do this to like kind of shed some speed, I was end up going faster because everything was all concave, so it just was so smooth. And then I hit this corner, and the path just goes. And I fucking off it, dude. And I was so lucky because they just like, I don't know if they just like sprayed like the water or whatever, just like started watering everything. Because when I got launched off my board, I'm full on flying in the air, going at least 25 miles an hour. It is fast.
Yeah.
And I hit the ground, I roll, and I just slide. And I don't like, I hit my shoulder. It kind of hurts, but nothing too crazy. But just because of how wet the grass is, I just slid.
Oh,
And everyone was just like, holy shit. Like they all caught up to me. Like that was wild.
Do you think that's the hardest you ever bailed?
Yeah. But had there been like a wall or a tree or anything,
Fuck
I'd have
yourself,
been
like, way worse.
fucked. Like
yeah.
destroyed.
I was skating in my hometown. When I was in college, my friend PJ, for some reason, when we went to college together in Pasadena, and he lived in my old town for some reason because it was close. And he was like, let's go skiing. I want to bomb this hill. And where I grew up, La Crescenta, it's full of like pretty steep hills. And so we're going down, and I know about how fast I can go. So I'm doing a lot of power slides, right? Mm-hmm. PJ's hauling ass, and he fucking bails hard. And I slow down to look back, and I just see him. And PJ's about 25 at this point. And I just see him, and he's going like this. Oh! like just trying to absorb the pain into his body and be like, don't like pass out. He's just like, it's like it was a very like we're getting too old for this shit.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Every year there's a part of me that's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna buy a skateboard. And my wife looks at me and goes, "No, you are in your 30s."
Dude, my house is full of them. Like, I mean, I have many skateboard decks, right? Like, I did graphics for Toy Machine, and I'm such a dickhead. They were like, well, this is what you get paid. I was like, how many decks can I get for that exact same amount of money? And they were like, no one's ever asked us that. You've never met anyone as stupid as I am. So, and they're like, well, that would be 80 decks. I was like, see you Monday.
So like a week or over
And
the
they
course
couldn't ship them because 80 decks would cost, I don't know, $3,000 to mail to someone.
Oh, absolutely.
So I drove to San Diego and
You picked
loaded
up-
my Volvo station wagon at the time up with 80 decks, and you couldn't talk to me. I was so happy. I was like, this is the best decision I've ever made. I have 80 skateboards and I drew them. You can't, fuck all you people.
Yeah.
Like, I was so excited.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
always thought the skate decks up like as decorations was the coolest shit.
Do you remember like your favorite skate deck that you had?
Yeah.
Ah, man, I do.
Who were your guys' like once you got into skateboarding, who were your companies?
All right, so I really dug the Enjoy decks.
Sure.
The Panda ones.
Yeah, the
loved
Panda
them.
one's great.
I liked Element and I liked Girl.
Mhm.
And Tony Hawk, just because that's like the one that he started off.
Birdhouse, yeah.
Love the fucking Birdhouse, but I think I really, really started digging the Element decks.
Element's a little weird now, but there was that early run of Element where they were cool. Like Elements A, I like quality wise, it was a good deck.
Yeah.
And like I liked the Element team. Element always has a really
Mike
good
V was
team.
one of my favorite skaters growing up.
Yeah,
Who
Mike
had-
V.
Someone threw like it was like I'm pretty sure it was pretty much anime hentai on boards. at the
Hookups.
ti- yeah,
Yeah.
hookups. Yeah, I remember.
And now
Hookups.
Primitive's doing it now.
Primitive. Yeah.
Hookups
So
is the only stickers I don't feel comfortable collecting because like my girlfriend ever like looked through the out. She's like, "What is this?" So these are these porn ones. What's with the porn ones?
You're like, no, it's a
They're-
skateboard.
No, I'm like Jeremy Klein hookup. She's like, I don't get this. Don't be an idiot. What are you doing?
doing?
Like I don't really fuck with hookups really
Yeah.
that much because it is like a little like at the time, skateboarding was there's skateboarding kind of get looked at as like it's a liberal thing, but the truth is for skateboarding for a really long time it was incredibly white,
Mhm.
very sexist, incredibly homophobic.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
up until like 3 years ago, like it got less racist in the 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah.
It got less sexist like Monday. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
Like it and less homophobic like tomorrow hopefully. Like it has not been the most inclusive space. Luckily a lot of that's changing now.
Yeah. Now there's like girls blowing up on Instagram doing.
There's
shit.
also like trans skaters now that have
Yeah.
have their own companies and like
Yeah.
there's a lot of openly gay skaters
Mhm.
now. Brian Anderson came out like must be close to 5 or 10 years ago, and that was a big moment because he's so credible. Like Thrasher Skater of the Year, skated for girls, skated for Toy Machine. You couldn't like talk shit. It's like that's BA, dude.
Yeah.
Like my favorite show. There's a show on YouTube called Jeff Grosso's Love Letters to Skateboarding, and it's just he just talks. He's complete. He's passed away, but he complete like devoted to skateboarding. He talks about all of it, and there's a really great episode about queer skaters.
Mm.
But you couldn't when Brian Anderson came out, he was like so famous and so well respected. It was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
It's not that I think skateboarders are bigoted. We're just not super bright.
Yeah.
Our whole goal is just to be gnarly. So it
Yeah.
is like a pretty narrow tunnel
Of course.
when it comes to vision, like what you see of the world.
Yeah.
It's like you hang out with 4 dudes mostly. You go to 3 places. You eat one kind of food. You dress one kind of way, kind of.
That sounds
and-
pretty gay to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you're real. Because here, I was thinking about this today. Essentially, skateboarding is figure skating. If
Okay.
we're being honest,
Yeah.
like skateboarding and figure skating are very similar. It's about tricks. It's about the number of rotations. In a contest format, it's about score, and it has a lot to do with style.
Yeah.
Like there's different scores. I got really into figure skating during the Olympics this year because I watched this. There's that one of his name's Jonathan Van Ness. He's one of the new Queer Eye dudes,
Uh-huh.
and he did a special on. Actually, I think he's non-binary. He did a special on things he's obsessed with, like learning about stuff, and he did one about being obsessed. Jesus, I'm just not good at it yet. Try. They did a episode about figure skating, and I watched it and I was like, this is incredible. And then I watched all the figure skating, the Olympics. Like, the only reason I didn't used to watch figure skating is it's too stressful. Like, the pressure and the level of difficulty is so high that, like, I just was like, this isn't worth it. Like, why are they doing this?
Yeah.
Like, they don't even get, like, it's not like skateboarding where, like, well, at least you have a successful board. It's like, no, this day is it. This day is your whole life. For the most
this is
part.
the only reason we know about these people.
It's so tough, but skateboarding is very similar because the style element of figure skating is very, very important. They have like separate events where it's just style. It's just like more ice dancing, and it's just about how beautiful it looks, and that's what separates Christian Hosoi and Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk still doesn't have beautiful style. He's rad, but to watch old Christian Hosoi, it's like watching like a bullfighter or something.
Yeah.
Like, he looked incredible, and he was good looking. Like, the whole thing.
Who's the Day One?
Day One song,
dude. I remember watching him and being like, yeah. I feel like that's like fluid motion.
It just looks cool.
Like,
Tommy Guerrero.
Yeah.
He looked like, after probably Tony Hawk was my favorite, but I realized I was never gonna have access to Vert or anything. Tommy Guerrero became my favorite skater because in Animal Chin and those Bones Brigade videos, he was the street skater, and I was like, well, I can try to do those tricks. I know where there's some steps or like a curb to grind or a launch ramp, some shit like that. So I was like, oh, that's my new dude. Yeah. Like, I'm going to try to skate like that guy. And he had just rad style. He just looked good in the air. He looked good when he landed. He looked good doing tricks. And like, it's very similar to me. Gymnastics is kind of close, but it really is to me akin to figure skating, which I don't know how skaters would feel about that, but it's true, guys.
Yeah.
And ladies. Like, accept it. You're figure skaters. It's pretty cool.
There was one X Games where they were in San Francisco. I think I'd have been in like a middle school, so I think it might have been 2000s, maybe early. Yeah, I think it was 2000s. And I remember going and watching them. Like, it was, just the X Games was like such a crazy thing as like a teen.
It really, that's what Tony Hawk essentially, the 900 rejuvenated the financial reality of skateboarding because it had been dying. And they put it on the S Games. There was a handful of X Games. People watched it, but that thing was like, oh, that's the reason. In that year when he does the 900, I was in like art school. I don't think I even had a skateboard at the time. I was still into because skateboarding for me is mostly about the graphics and the art of it.
Yeah.
And so, but I was like, oh, I'm going to the skate shop in Pasadena after school today. I'm buying a deck. I'm going to get a board.
Dude, the feeling that you got when you got to buy a deck and putting it together.
Buying a deck for yourself.
Yeah.
Being able to, and it's like a deck, I think a full
Not
setup.
A blank?
A
like
full setup right
deck
now would be $200.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
130 when I was a kid.
Yeah. Trucks have gotten more expensive. It's really the trucks and the wheels that have gotten more expensive. Decks now are about $55, but
I think they were like 60 or 80 when I was growing up.
Yeah. When I was a kid, they were 40.
Right.
So but even now, being an adult where I'm like, I could go to a skate shop right now and leave with a brand new skateboard. Even if I didn't write it, I'd just be like, today was a good day.
Yeah.
Well, the feeling of fresh grip tape, dude, on your fingers, bro. That was the best.
Skateboarding is the fucking best.
Zoomies was the one job that I think I really liked because when I would sell boards, I loved putting a board together. That was my favorite shit.
Handing a kid a board, like I just remember it. I got one board a year, Christmas, right? So I'd go to Val Surf in North Hollywood, and I'd sit there and I'd be like, I want that deck, I want those trucks, this, and they'd set it up, but I'd have to wait till Christmas to write it. So there was like this week where I knew where it was in my house, and I'd just go look at it like, I want it, let me have it. And to me, to this day, a skateboard is just the most visually stunning looking fucking thing.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say I miss a little about skating versus skating now is because
cartilage
of
in your knees.
The what? Yeah. The will to move.
Yeah.
Is the look of skateboards in photos because of the way boards are now. They're all kind of the same shape. And for a while, everyone just rode white wheels. But if you go back to I've started collecting more old magazines. So I try to find old Thrashers and old Transworlds. The quality of the photos, because of how colorful everything was, like a good photo where the graphic is in the air, like Tony, you see the board like in the air like this, and you see the wheels like, that's a sound nightmare, huh? plastic wrap, and they looked so cool. Like it is a still photo, just all the different colors and the trucks and everything. You just looked at it. It was just such a visually incredible looking thing. The stickers on the board, all of it. That's the only thing I miss a little, because now when you look at skate photos, they're flipping. So you don't necessarily see the graphic. You see it's more the quality of the move versus the look of the photo. Because essentially a good skate photo in the 80s was a good pose caught in midair. That's what the style was about. It was like, well, how's the grab look? How's their arm look? Like that kind of shit. Where's their feet? Like one of my favorite things about Jeff Grosso's show is he's like, if you're going to do an invert, tuck your fucking knee. If you're going to do a frontside air, tuck your knee. You look like an idiot. Like there is a way to do shit to make it look a certain way.
To make it look nice. I vividly remember the first time I saw like Rodney Mullen picture, and it was when he was doing one of the tricks where it's a flatland trick, and it was where you see him literally, he's up on the trucks. And the only thing that's touching is the bottom. Yeah. And he's just like balancing there. And
he's
I remember
standing on it, and you're like, that dude.
And I remember seeing it the first time, and he got there from this position. And I remember seeing him from that, and I remember like my brain just not being able to comprehend how that he could do that, or that you could do that, and then how we even got to that place. But I just remember I was like, oh, this guy's defying gravity.
It's like old BMX magazines where like, if I liked BMX before I liked skateboarding, and I'd get the magazines, like if you're looking at a photo of a magazine from like a race, it was just a bunch of bikes going over a jump. But then freestyle BMXers, the bikes were like neon. They had white tires and white like big plastic rims on them, and they'd be in like a pose, and you're like, that looks cool as shit, because you didn't have videos. So it was about just like the visual space of it. And that to me was like, because I was never going to be a good skater. I don't have that gear. Like if I get hurt, I remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I go back to those stairs. I'm like, those stairs are not nice. Like that stair will hurt you.
Yeah. So I remember like having to turn that shit, like trying to like, I like had to convince myself to like just send it off stairs.
Yeah.
As
a kid, because I was like too, like I can't do this. And then like one day I was like, no, dude, you just have to do it.
It was like trying to ride launch ramps. My friend was like, you're not really even trying to land.
You're not committing.
No. It was just, you'd haul ass knowing you were going to jump off. Yep. And the difference, it's like what Lance says in the documentary. It's like, is the McTwist hard? And he goes, no, it's just guts.
It's just guts.
It's just being like, this is probably going to hurt. I mean, it's interesting showing in that documentary when they're talking about the 540, because the way Mike McGill did it is actually, it's not a flat spin. He does it, it's like a flip almost. Yeah. And it's way cooler looking.
And they make it look like that flip in the actual video game, like when you do it in Tony Hawk. Like,
because there's two tricks. There's the McTwist and a 540. Yeah. They're different. Hosoi did McTwists. That's why Hosoi's McTwists are so rad looking.
Like body varials.
Yeah, because he's so high up. He was doing McTwists 8, 9, 10 feet in the air. Jeez. And it's that flip where they are blind. They're blind to the ramp. Yeah. Whereas Tony's were 540s more. And I mean, I would begrudgingly admit Christian Hosoi was great, because me and my brother, would punch each other in the face every day, and then we watch a video not knowing who won, and it took a lot for me to admit that Christian Hosoi was really rad. Yeah, because he was really, I mean, he's so beautiful on the board.
360 flips, vario flips, those kind of flips are always the ones that just blew my mind. The hard flip, oh my god.
Andrew Reynolds frontside kick flips are one of the best things to look at ever. You know what I mean? Like Dylan Reeder's Ollie Impossibles, like they're so beautiful to look at. You're just like, dude, it's my favorite Tony Hawk twig. He would do a 360 varial. So he's doing a 360 and spinning the board in his hand at the same time. It's in Animal Chin. And I was just like, that's the coolest looking thing I've ever seen. Yeah. Like it's just maniacal how great skateboarding is to me. Like it's tough because as you get older, you start, you want to wear the clothes. Like my girlfriend clowned me before I left. It's like,
I mean,
look at Frank. Dude.
I mean, yeah, streetwear clothes still so like I love.
You realize you're like, okay, I either got to get in way better shape so these clothes hang on me better, because you do look like rad dad. Yeah, and you're like, man, I don't want to like put these shit. Like, look at this fucking man.
If you don't have,
look at it.
If you don't have kids,
it's so rad.
If you don't have kids, you're just like a 35-year-old dude who's still hanging on.
Yeah, and it's like, and part of me is like, maybe I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
There's that saying that you see sometimes around skateboarding. It's like, you didn't stop skating because you got old because you stopped skating, which is a threat. To be honest,
Yeah.
like that's a fucking physical threat. Like,
yeah.
I feel like an orthopedic surgeon wrote that saying or some bullshit. But like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's all right to be like the weird beard dude who's still like, because when I used to go to the Pipeline, there was a really old dude. He was probably 60 in the 80s, and he was still skating. He was padded up within an inch of his life. It looked like the dude was wearing a full body cast.
Of course.
But he could still skate the smaller bowls, and everyone was like, that guy's rad. Like, he was in Thrasher and shit, because he was just, and he had like rainbow pads, and he was super weird, and you're like, yeah, he probably died super weird, and like 9 million XYs, but you're like, I don't know, man. What else is, like, I don't know, who cares?
yeah.
It's like being an old stand-up. You're like, I don't know, dude. Like, yeah, we're all going to be weird and a little bit of a bummer if we're not famous. That's the only difference. If you get famous, it's eccentric.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah. You're like, oh shit. Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I don't.
Yeah.
What else do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Not buy stickers all the time,
Yeah. Let's talk about them stickers. So
bro?
this was so funny because you were like, I have stickers, and I didn't realize you like.
I only brought one album.
So,
Just
so you
know.
collect old school skateboard.
I
stickers?
collect old 1980s and 90s skateboard stickers. It's my hobby. I only really have one hobby, and this is it. And I spend most of my time on. This is the only reason I still am on Facebook. Is because all the old men that have stickers to sell don't know how to use the internet.
Hilarious.
So I'm a part of many like Facebook sticker groups
Oh my god.
that where we sell stickers to each other, because eBay kind of sucks. And this is one of my albums.
What's your favorite out of
Oh, guy.
I knew it.
I mean, shit. This is upsetting.
And would you get one of these as a tattoo?
Yes, I would. If I could find a tattoo artist that I for sure knew. You want to know what's sad? So the Slime Balls logo, truly one of the great designs of all time. Slime Balls wheels. Like maybe 15 years ago, Jim Phillips, the guy who drew all the Santa Cruz graphics in the 80s, was selling the original.
What?
And it was $5,000.
What?
And I kind of had the money, but also I was like, dang,
you also
that's
had
a
a
lot of money.
girlfriend too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different one. A different one, but one that would have gotten equally as angry. And I was like, dude, I want that so bad.
Dude, I'll trade you 80 boards.
I didn't have the boards at the time. I didn't buy it. And I mean, honestly, if it sold today, it'd be probably $20,000. And I was just like, dude, can I buy the original Slime Balls drawing right now? And I think in this album, my favorite, my favorite graphic ever is this Klaus grab key exploding clock graphic. This isn't my favorite sticker because there's a big version of this, of which I have two, and it doesn't fit in an album because it's 19 inches long.
Sick.
It's this big. Santa Cruz did this weird thing where they made these giant stickers.
The size of a board.
Kinda. Like, it's like when your board would get destroyed because you had too long, you just take one of those big stickers and put it on it. So I have they're very hard to find. I bought one from Lance Mountain because Lance has this incredible hoard. Like a hoard that is like legendary. He's been hoarding every skate thing he can get his hands on his whole life. He has Ed Templeton's neck brace from when he broke his neck in a contest.
Wild.
He has Steve Caballero's ponytail. Like, he has weird shit. And every once in a while, he'll sell stuff. And he put up one of those stickers, and I was like, I'll give you this much. I overpaid for it, I know for a fact. Because I bought another one for like half as much.
Oh my
but I was
God.
like, it's Lance's. I'm buying it.
I
Like,
got it from him.
but
and
that's
went up
probably my favorite sticker because this design to me is so rad. When I saw it as a kid, I just didn't even get it. I was like, I don't know how drawing a clock is hard. I don't know how you make it explode and then make all the parts come at me. And like, it's just that sticker and that graphic is probably my favorite.
Okay.
But the Tony Hawk Claw, this Jeff Grosso one I love also. Very hard to find. Very expensive. Don't rob me. The Batwings one. But this.
Yeah. How if anyone, God forbid, anyone ever came and tried to rob you for stuff, I feel like
Be prepared to a duel to the death. Like,
Yeah.
this is blood.
Past the books.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, if I, unless the dude's
you
like
knew.
a skateboarder,
Yeah.
like
If my house is on fire, I make sure the girl's out, the dog's out. This is the only thing I go for.
Yeah.
This album.
How many? All right, so how many things, if you could save in a fire, would you have to Like, how many trips would you have to make
For
if
stickers?
if you could save the things you wanted to save in a burning fire?
It'd be rough. I'd probably die in that fire.
On which trip?
Probably trip number 10. My last words are, "This is limited edition," as I throw it out the window and die of smoke inhalation.
Yeah.
To be fair,
I
like stuff, dude. Like
Yeah.
I mean, my job is essentially comedian and artist now, and it's more artist now than it has been in the past. So I need to look at things all the time to get me hyped to make things. And like, I mean, these stickers, just the nature of how they look is so great that I just get like stoked to fucking look at them and then go make shit. Look at all those Mark Gonzalez stickers, guys. Like, this stuff is so cool looking.
It's like me. It's refreshing to see this. It really is.
Look at all those Chris Millers.
Because the way you are excited with this is the way I'm excited with like weed, comic books, and like video games and stuff. And
It's the comic books too. It's the same thing where like when I look, these are what I learned to draw copying. Like these are my like friends. I spent more time with this shit than I did with people. Yeah. Like this is how I learned. I drew this Fred Smith sticker, I don't know, 1,000 times. Like that's how I learned, because it was you could copy it because it had lines.
Yeah.
That like if I looked at an oil painting when I was 8, I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. But this has heavy lines. You can copy the lines and like learn, like the Santa Cruz screaming hand. Like I drew that over and over and over. Dude, this Bones Brigade sticker, bro. Tour 87, bro. What are you, a cop? This one, you know how hard, you know how long that one took to find, bro?
How long that would take to find?
2 years. Wow. $75, dude.
So, and where did you just? So when you find
guy,
them, you're just like,
a guy, most people won't sell them because most dudes are like me and they're like, I'm not giving up that sticker. But every once in a while, a guy like needs his hip replaced. Like, I can't tell you how many times on Facebook, one of the dudes is like, have some medical problems. And we're all like, do tell. We're fucking vultures, bro. We're like, interesting. This one. So you remember in the documentary, there's that guy who dresses like a wizard kind of, Kevin Staub. I couldn't find this sticker. It's got a bus on it, right? And it's tiny. It's very hard to find. And I just decided I'm going to message Kevin Staub. He has too many followers. I'm like, he's not going to see this. I'm like, hey man, this is a long shot, but if you know anywhere I could get this sticker, please tell me. And he just messaged me back, what's your address? Wouldn't take any money. He sends me this sticker and this sticker, which is a Kevin Staub Vision sticker. He never skated for Vision. He was on Sims, but Vision owned Sims. So I think at one point, maybe he was almost on Vision or something. And I was just like, that's the rad. It was
released. Yeah, that's sick.
Dude, I mean, that Kevin Staub is rad. Like, he had rad graphics, just pirates and wizards and witches and shit. Like, they're just, look at all those. Oh, look at all the John Lucero's X1 and X2s, you dorks. What'd you do with your life? Not this. You made a mistake. Look at that. So beautiful.
It's so funny.
Stolen design from a cereal box.
Whoa, what was the cereal box?
I don't know. I thought he made it up, but he stole the bars thing from a cereal box. It wasn't heartbreaking, but I was surprised. New Deal, you guys are about the right age for New Deal, maybe.
34.
Was New Deal around when you were buying skateboards? Lame.
Maybe.
Pusshead is important.
Like World Industries was going out when I was buying skateboards.
World Industries is very, very, very. I don't have World Industries in this folder.
I used to love. That's what I would draw a lot of was Flame Away in Water.
One of you know what I just remembered? One of my
drawn by Mark McKee. One of the Mark McKee and Sean Cliver are responsible for a lot of World Industry designs, but I believe Mark McKee did Flame Boy, and Mark McKee, honestly, pound for pound, is maybe the best skate graphics guy ever because he's super versatile. He can make it look like a PAL design. Like, the guy's ability to do almost anything is jaw-dropping. Steve Caballero.
I had a friend who actually, I think, is in prison or out of prison now. We were friends in high school. I slept at this dude's house all the time. Like, my best friend, we both skateboarded. He was the one who really was way better than me, was like trying to teach me to skateboard. But I remember he was a huge Toy Machine fan. He loved it. Like, it was just his shit.
Yeah.
And then I think he robbed a gas station and got sent to jail.
Toy Machine is very important because there's like
Rob Dudek came up through.
What?
Didn't Rob Dudek come through Toy Machine?
I don't know. Chad Muska, his first pro board was on Toy Machine, but they kicked him off like immediately.
Why'd they kick him off?
There was a video premiere Toy Machine was supposed to have a video premiere, and Muska had the big part at the end. And there was a problem with like the projector. There was a problem, and Muska snapped, flipped out, like went off on everybody. And Jamie Thomas, who was on Toy Machine at the time and was a big part of like running the video, was like, "Can we kick this dude off?" And Ed was like, "Yeah," and because he was just too much. But then Muska goes to Shorty's, and his whole career explodes. Muska's fascinating because that whole like you can do a handrail with a ghetto blaster on your arm. Dude, like you're doing a handrail with a boombox? I don't even understand you, man.
Yeah.
And to me, he's one of the first shoes that was massive. That first Muska shoe was he got rich.
Yeah.
Like legit rich.
Yeah, that was the thing we were talking about. It was like, so, you know, skateboarding is usually all white and then it blows up. And then I think it blows up again in the 90s and stuff. But then it was like, I was saying how when I went to Japan, skateboarding culture over there was like fascinating. And also in like, not South Africa. There's some I think it was Africa. Someone very big was from out there. Oh, Australia too. Just the different skate scenes.
Yeah.
In different places. And I was like, that's fascinating.
That's what I love about skateboarding, and even old skateboarding too. And even in America, there was all these tiny scenes. Like you're from San Jose and up north, very different scene than down here. San Francisco, because it's about hills. But to be fair, SF has probably created some of the best street skaters ever, period. SF probably is the best skateboard city as far as quality as skaters. Because you have Mark Gonzalez from there. So that's, I mean, you have Steve Caballeros from San Jose. And then you have a lot of really important skaters that became great in San Francisco because of the Embarcadero and that whole scene, Eric Costin and guys like that. Like the San Francisco scene is really, really important because it's a gnarly place to skate because you're going down those. It's like people that are good in like the East Coast. That asphalt sucks. Like getting good in San Diego is impressive, but it's not quite as hard. The weather's great. There's plenty of room. But like if you're good in New York, it's like, dude, I don't even know how you did that shit. Yeah. Any place in the winter. Because you don't have as many months to skate. And those Texas guys.
So many fucking people in here.
Yeah. Those Texas guys, like the heat there is fucked up. You can't have a wood ramp because it gets so they're skating on metal ramps and shit. Like it's just brutal. So that's what I love the weird. Because the skating's different in different places a lot of time. I don't know. I wonder if it's not so much like that anymore because so much of what people learn now is from videos and shit.
Yeah.
But back then, each place had its own scene kind of based on the geography and the kind of scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We
That's
did
what's
skating in shorts in Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah.
Like,
the Brazilian guys, dude. The Brazilian vert skaters. Like
insane.
Brazil, period, creates incredible skaters.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what it is there, but they just make rad skaters.
I just think people from Brazil are just all like just genetically gorgeous. You know what I mean?
they're doing it pretty well there genetically. Let's be honest. Brazilians are pretty good looking.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was like, what? Man.
Yeah. You go there. I mean, it's like I went to Sweden once as a white person. I was like, I'm the ugliest man in this entire country. Like I look like I died. Compared to these fuckers. Like, going to Brazil would be...
I go to Mexico and I'm like, oh, everyone here looks exactly like me.
But yeah, stickers is what I collect because I'm running out of room for decks, and I can't ride the decks in the same way anymore. So these are just this is like my shit. What happened? I got too real?
Yeah, he was just like, up. The podcast is over. Time's up.
No, that documentary blew my mind open.
I cried a lot.
I knew I was gonna cry.
I didn't know I was gonna cry.
I told my girlfriend, I was like, listen, I'm gonna get high and watch this, just so you know, I'm going to have an extreme emotional response. So I don't know if you want to watch it with me or like have your ear pods.
Does the lady react? Is she like okay when you have like extreme emotional responses?
She thinks it's funny. You know what I mean? Well, I don't do it that often, but also she just puts in her ear pods and goes on TikTok or something like that. Because I'm just like, you know, old guy yelling at windmill. Like it's that kind of stupid where I'm just so like, funny. You don't understand. You don't like, I fucking had that board. It's me just going, I had that fucking t-shirt. Like I'm online trying to buy shit immediately. Like it's your whole childhood. That documentary is that and the Bones Brigade documentary. And like, it's my whole childhood. It's me from 9 to 13, basically. Before skateboarding, when boards got super narrow, I was like, I can't kickflip well enough to care about this. And it stopped being about graphics. Once logo boards became more of a thing. Yeah. I lost my extreme love of it because there just wasn't as much for me to look at.
That was like Chocolate's whole thing. Was the board just said chocolate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to be fair, Chocolate did for a while. There was this guy, Evan Heckox, who still, I think, does graphics for them, and he did really good graphics for them. But logo boards, if you're a kid, they were cheaper. And it's gonna be destroyed in a week.
Yeah.
So it made sense from the standpoint of what skating became, that the logo board thing. But now printing's a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So now graphics have gotten more important again. And a lot of it, I started to notice it happened with this. There's a skate company called Welcome. Welcome started doing oddly shaped boards again, and it changed the whole skate industry. It's over 10 years ago. And it did kind of bring back graphics too. And now there's a lot of different kinds of skaters again, which is great. There's a kid who skates for Pal who rides like the old boards.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of that, and it's cool.
Well, it's also cool to see from skateboarding because, way back when, it was like VHSs were just coming out. And like you said, it was hard to you had to learn tricks through pictures. And now with social media and everything, you look at this new generation of skaters, and my friends, I would talk to the guys from like Derek and all those guys. They were hardcore skaters, and now they work in weed.
Derek was a pro.
Really? A friend of ours. Yeah.
Wow.
And he talks about it. He was like, all these young skaters now, it's so funny. It was like, but it's kind of like how we talk about young comics that don't get into clubs or whatever, but they blow up on like Instagram. It's like, yeah. So with the way things is now, you could just be a kid in the middle of nowhere filming your skate journey, and then you blow up because they like you for whatever reason, your style. And like, that's also
like uniqueness.
Yeah. It's
a uniqueness. And that's what I really love about skateboarding now, is because everyone's so technically good. It's like being a comic. We're all funny. Everyone's funny. Who gives a shit? Being funny, like whatever. Everyone we know is really funny. It's kind of like that's the norm. That's the base.
Yeah.
So in skating, it's that uniqueness now that makes you stand out. It's your style, the way you dress. You ride a weird board. Do you have a fun personality? It's that shit that makes you stand out. I mean, to this day, even some of the skaters from my generation still sell more boards than some of the young people, because it's like, well, that guy's a legend, and you remember their weird style. Like people still worship Neil Blender just because he was a weirdo, and what he did stood out as opposed to just trying to win contests. He was just like, he was in the top 10. He's like, I'm not beating Hawk. What can I do? What's me? What's different? Yeah. Lance is still really relevant because of just how he went about skateboarding. Gons is still really relevant. Like that's why skateboarding isn't a sport. And that's why, like, I think that's why I still like it so much. Because there really is now, there's space for like everybody. And you just have to like do your thing and do it pretty well. And you'll be all right for the most part. Like it's a place for weirdos.
It's such a parallel, I feel like, with comedy.
It is.
Yeah.
A lot. That's why so many comics love. It's like that in Comedian, Seinfeld said.
Yeah.
So it's bombing. Bailing is bombing. It's just physically painful as opposed to bombing is just emotionally painful. It's just like, I just bombed again. I mean, when you first start doing stand-up, you bomb hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And you're just like, what is this that we're doing? We're all like, all of us in this sad group, we're all poor, and we're all just driving around in our tiny cars bombing. Like, and it's the same thing as being a skater.
Dude, I for real remember my mom piling the car full of just other broke comics and all of us driving to San Diego.
Yeah.
And I just vividly remember, and I think out of everybody in that car, I'm the only one that's still doing stand-up.
Yeah, and it's the same. Every group of skaters, only either one of them got good and maybe made it into a thing, or one of them kept skating. It's weird when I watch a lot of these documentaries now. You can see when they're interviewing people, you can tell even some of the older pros. You're like, oh, you stopped skating, like you became a businessman or something. Like Jeff Kendall was this amazing skater for Santa Cruz, and now he kind of runs Santa Cruz. He's like really high up, and it's like Mike McGill, the inventor of the McTwist. He's way more into fishing now. Like he has a skate shop. He skates still for sure, but he's really into fishing. Like that's his shit. He even like before he retired, he had like a tropical fish graphic that I can't find the fucking sticker for. It is killing me. It's killing me because I have this fish graphic, but I don't have them both, and it's making me like I have this right. I have this one, which that's great. That's a great graphic. But he did one that has like a really good illustration of like tropical fish, like an aquarium. And I can't find it, and I look, I don't know, every day, and it's killing me.
So that's the next.
That's the new one I'm trying.
Stickers, you just going through and you find them, or you just You go Google search.
Sometimes I just want one. Like I really wanted. There was before World Industries, it was called Santa Monica Airlines, and there was a Steve Rocco graphic that was Winnie the Pooh holding like a devil fork, and it's great. And I just
remember that.
Yeah, there's a great graphic. And I was just one day I was like, I need a sticker. Like, so I went on Facebook, and there's a guy I buy from in Arizona who has a lot. So I'm just like, hey man, looking for this. And about 2 hours later, he's like, got it. And I'm like, here's the PayPal. Like, I just sent him money. But I got like one from England, and I got one from that guy.
Oh, wow.
And I just, on any given day, I'm like, I definitely need that. Or a lot of times, sometimes lately, it's like, I need more of those. Like, well, because a lot of them, especially the 80s ones, there's a finite number.
Mm-hmm.
They're never going to, like this Per Welander, who he started Birdhouse with Tony Hawk. This graphic, they're unless they reissue them, these are just gonna either decay or disappear. So some of them, like if I don't get them now, they're only gonna get more expensive. It's like collecting anything valuable; it's only gonna get more expensive if it's valuable. Although I kind of think at some point the skateboard collection things will die generationally when the people die.
Oh yeah.
So like all the guys my age who collect this, we're between 40 and 60, right? Well, I notice a lot of the guys who are closer to 60 are starting to liquidate shit because they're like, they're getting older. I'm sure they have wives and children, and they're like, look, you don't really interact with this shit as much anymore.
It's on the shelf.
It's taking up a lot of space, especially the boards and shit. We have a kid in college, like what our daughter's wedding's coming up, whatever it is. And they're like,
I hurt my knee.
And then the guys are like, hey man, it's time to let some of this stuff go. And that day comes for everyone. It won't come for me, but it comes for a lot of people. Because look, I have 4 to 5 albums of stickers. That's not a lot of space.
No.
I am going to start selling the decks though, because they're in a closet.
Why do I feel like this is a conversation you've had with your lady?
Well, dude, I have a very small house, right? I have a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. Not a lot of closet space. In one of the closets, there's 50 decks, okay? And they're in the dark. They are in the darkness. I don't go in there. I don't interact with them. And I'm like, hey, Kev Dog, that's what I call myself when we talk. Hey, Kev Dog, maybe you could sell some of these and either, like I want to sell maybe 5 reissue decks and get like an original Tony Hawk deck, or I want to get an original of that exploding clock deck.
Uh-huh.
Well, they're like $3,000.
Whoa.
So, but if I sell all that, the smaller price stuff that I've amassed that I don't really interact with, you can get like one really rad one. Sometimes I trade a deck for stickers. So like I had an extra reissue deck of whatever, and I was like, I just put it on the internet. I was like, hey, I'll trade stickers for this. And I got like 10 stickers for a deck that a guy was like, I need that deck. I was like, I need your stickers, bro. What are we doing? Like, what are we going to do here? And I had like 3 guys who were like, I'll give you these. And like, I just picked like, because it's more space. And it's just a better use of my time.
It's so funny the things guys collect, because like I'm a huge obviously nerd about certain things. And I want to bring this up because it makes me laugh. My wife's sister's husband-in-law, like her fiance, is the best way to put it, her fiance. Very cool guy, manly guy, like always working on cars, always doing stuff. We've talked a few times, we connect over like weed and shit, but we don't really ever like click, right?
Yeah.
And then one day we're like hanging out.
And you
kissed. Yeah, and I blew
and
him.
you realize kissing's just kissing.
Yeah. He was like, you want to see what I collect? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. And he goes, all right, cool. And he was like, you like cards? And I was like, yeah, I like cards. What kind of cards? And I collect Magic the Gathering cards. This dude pulls out
I gotta go.
binders.
You get him free with a longboard?
Yeah. No, he pulls out binders of Pokemon cards.
Okay.
This generation, though. And I was like, oh, shit. You're one of those guys. This is awesome. Because I used to be a hardcore Pokemon, but
that's tight.
I got that shit beaten out of me by my cousins. And so
where are Mexicans on Pokemon?
Oh, they love them, dude.
Okay,
there's a
good.
TikTok of like this dad, and it's so funny. There's like random Mexican parents that either like you could tell they just didn't have like the childhood to like get into shit like this.
Yeah,
like this guy, like this dad who loves anime, loves all the Dragon Ball Z's, loves all the fucking everything, and he buys toys. So now he's popping on TikTok. People just send him toys to open up, and he like puts them together, and he like it's hilarious.
Mexicans are the best.
Yeah, they are pretty cool.
Why aren't there like lowrider trading cards?
That's a good point.
Because
Holy
I
shit.
love lowriders. Like a lowrider to me is like, I don't know of an object that's better. When you look at like did you ever see Mr. Cartoon's ice cream truck?
Yep.
It's maybe the greatest object. It's like Michelangelo David. Like to
Oh,
me,
yeah.
they belong in a similar room.
Oh yeah. Because
Like-
that's Chicana culture.
But it's also perfect.
Uh-huh.
It's the most perfectly made thing. Every inch of it's perfect. Like a good lowrider, I'm just like, I don't even. It's hard to think of a thing that's a cooler object because
Mhm.
you can drive it.
Yeah.
You can hit Whittier Boulevard and like drive. Like it's dude.
Yeah. San Jose had tons of it.
What happened to lowrider bike culture, man?
I can't remember. Well, again, expensive. The kids, you know what I
Very
mean?
expensive.
Japanese people.
Yeah, they do.
You saw that? They
Japanese
fucking
people
love it.
are. I went down a rabbit hole this last few days. My girlfriend was in Miami doing a modeling job, and I started learning about hikikomori,
Mm-hmm.
shut-ins, the vanishing people,
Mm-hmm.
and Japan's fascinating. But when they lock
So
into something
fascinating.
and decide to make it cool,
Yeah.
they do it up. They ruin the prices.
Yep.
There's a reason these stickers are so expensive. Like every once in a while, I can't buy stickers from Japan because they're so much more expensive.
Mhm.
But there's a guy there I follow on Instagram who has like a store. Basically, it is a vintage 80s skateboard clothing store, and he has if I ever got real rich, like millionaire, I would fly to Japan immediately. I'd be like, wrap it all up, bro. Wrap it up. He has everything. It is jaw-dropping. Every shirt, every PAL shirt you've ever worn in your entire life.
Dude,
It probably wouldn't fit me now that I think about it.
I went to Japan for 2 weeks. It was the best trip I ever went to.
Really?
Shout out Woo World. They got this thing called it's a Wu Tang World,
Oh, great.
and it's all the best like hip hop, streetwear, random shit, like the craziest.
Yeah.
All very expensive, but such cool fucking quality shit. Next door is a shoe stop, but below is a 80s and 90s toy store.
Oh my God.
I walked in and I was like, holy shit, most stores are like 40, 50 bucks. But I walked in and I saw 6 of the action figures that I played with as a child.
Yeah.
And I bought them. I spent at least a couple $100 and I bought them. And they're at my house. And I remember Hannah being like, why'd you buy toys? And I was like, this cured years of bullshit for me.
Yeah. I mean, it is the real reason I get this stuff. It is like emotional.
Yeah.
Like I'm midlife crisis age. So it's like this or a Porsche and some embarrassing woman I shouldn't be with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
that's what I mean. Like it is that like something happens to you at a certain age where you're like, you start looking back at your childhood life and you're like, man, there were moments that were so great. Like what a great free time that I
Yeah.
didn't understand was so great necessarily. And like when I look at this, it is like, I'm not a scientist, but I'm guarantee something in my brain, whatever part of your brain like occupies that like emotion and nostalgia and like what serotonin kick or whatever is looking at this stuff just gives me that feeling every single time.
Yeah.
It's what got you stoked to become the person you became. And I just every time I look at this shit, I'm like, this Rob Roskop graphic is maniacally crazy. How did he draw that? Where did he start? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like that stuff was like got you inspired to do stuff. I do think it's important as you get older to have that stuff. Like
Absolutely.
if you're, I don't know what women collect with like some crazy My Little Pony, like those like what's the rainbow sticker lady?
Oh God, what? Yeah, I can't remember her name is, but she did all the
Lisa
unicorn-
Frank.
Lisa Frank.
Lisa Frank stickers are bomb. And by the way, people collect them in a way that makes me look like I'm fucking around.
It's insane.
Yeah, Lisa Frank stuff is amazing. Hello Kitty shit. Like when I used to teach art lessons, that was my job when I was in college. Most of it was me teaching kids how to draw Pokemon, how to draw Hello Kitty, how to draw stuff like that. Which Hello
How
Kitty.
to draw longboards.
I wouldn't have let them in my class because I wanted to teach serious people.
Do you think there's students who are like terrified of you out there?
No.
No.
I was really nice.
Oh, okay.
I occasionally get a message from an adult that was like, you were my art teacher. You were great.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I will say, there are a few things as exciting as teaching a kid to draw something they are stoked on.
Yeah.
Like, explain to a kid, like, this is how you draw Wolverine's claws. And then, like, seeing them like, oh, now I can draw it from, like, now I can go home and do it on my own.
Yeah.
Like, no, you put these lines in the middle, it makes them look mean. You make the eyebrows go like this. Like, this is how you make the face look mean. Like, this is you make when you draw a fist, if you want to make a fist look mean, you don't draw it flat like that. You draw it like that.
Yeah.
Like Wolverine's claws look better when they're coming out of kind of an skewed finger fist. And that's what when you tell a kid that and they're like, oh, like they realize it. And you're like, I did something cool today.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
how to make something look shiny. That's a big one. When you teach a kid how to make something look metallic so they can do Magneto or like Colossus or some shit like that, that's pretty satisfying. I really like that job. I just didn't make enough money compared. I started doing commercials and I was like,
oh, this is it.
I was like, this is real money. I can buy comic books. Like, you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? But yeah, I like that job. I wasn't mean. I was mean to one kid. I got in trouble once. She was too young to be in class.
Oh, okay.
She was 4. And a lot of
Did you
parents.
make her cry?
No. She was honestly a little too oblivious to cry. Like she didn't want to be there that much. Like, but a lot of parents would force their kids into these art classes to feel like good parents.
Of course.
And some of the kids had talent but didn't care. And people always ask me, they're like, my kid's good at drawing. What should I do? And I'm like, leave him alone. Leave him in a room full of art. Like, give him paper and shit to draw with. But you don't have to do anything. If they want to do it, they'll do it. Like, no one was like, Kevin, you should draw more. You couldn't stop me. It was all I wanted to do. So
it's all my sister does.
Yeah,
all
like
she does.
So a lot of parents would kind of put their kids in these classes that kid didn't really care. No. And at 4,
yeah,
like I don't know, I don't even know how you focus at 4.
No,
like there were 12-year-olds that were not that stoked, but like I just was I was frustrated with the kid once, and I wasn't mean. The kid was 4, but I was like. I was maybe a little too short with the kid. And my boss was like, you can't be hard on that kid. I'm like, the kid shouldn't be here, dude. He was like, I don't give a fuck.
Kid's a kid.
The parents paying the tuition. There was $60 a month or something. And he's like, the kid's in the class. I was like, all right, you're fine. But I didn't work there much longer after that. So I was like, Kevin, you got Kurt with a 4-year-old. Maybe it's time to move on.
God, that's so funny.
Yeah. But yeah, teaching kids to draw stuff is pretty satisfying.
Yeah, my little sister, I saw her, the art bug bit her, and she was young and she started like doing like facial stuff early, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then my mom was like, all she knows to do is draw, and I was like, yeah, man, leave her the fuck alone. Yeah. I was like, all I wanted to do was stand up, and now look at me.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's like I what was great was like they're like assignments, but then like every 4th assignment, the kid could just bring something in. And then after they got kind of past all that, all they did was bring stuff in. So kids, I mean, every kid for a while was like, I want to draw Charmander. I'm like, yeah, let's draw Charmander. Like Pokemon, I can draw Pokemon pretty easily. Nice. But Hello Kitty stuff is the easiest.
Yeah.
But also really great. That lady's a mystery.
Yeah.
The lady who invented it, they get like she never. But then Lisa Frank, complete mystery.
Also, wait, what was the lady that created Lisa Frank? Where's she from?
She's Lisa Frank, and I don't know. There's not much out about her.
Yeah, exactly. Is she American? Is she Canadian?
Whitney like interviewed her.
Oh wow!
But she wouldn't show her face.
Really?
Yeah, she keeps her persona hidden. I think she wants her entire person. I don't even know if Lisa Frank's her real name, but she wants to have her whole trip just about stuff. She's worth a mint. Like the Lisa Frank empire is big.
I believe it.
You know what I mean?
What are we at? Oh, perfect. Sweet.
All
right.
It's a good page, huh? This one's hard to get.
All right, dope. Is there anything you guys want to plug before we get out of here? Dude, this was so much fun. Dude, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, I can't wait to the next episode where we do it again. The sequel.
I gave you some I should probably shout out the sponsors. Man, we got right into it. This was awesome. It's usually like, and it's like, oh, so this is what a podcast is like when we have a guest that's not stoned. It's like,
I'm not stoned.
Oh,
nerd.
That's true. Yeah, but not as high as we are.
You know what? I realize when I get high, enthusiasm kills it. Like if I'm fired, like I wasn't like, I was high watching the documentary, but I got so excited, it just like, it like sweated it out of my body or something like that. Hilarious. Like if I get really hyped, the high kind of goes away pretty quick. It's like being scared. You know, and like if something happens, you get the shit gets scared of you. You're like, oh man, my fucking high's gone.
Oh yeah.
Same thing. When I get worked up, like I'll be higher when I get home than I am now.
Oh. I love it. All right. Thank you, ABX. Thank you, Punch Extracts. Thank you, Punch Edibles. Thank you, PUFFCO. Thank you, JP. Anything you want to plug before we head out?
I don't remember.
Solid. You can catch us.
If you're in Belgium, I'm at Art Brussels. In Belgium with the whole gallery. If you're in Brussels, I feel like maybe you have European fans.
Sure, yeah. We
go to Art Brussels. There's some paintings there. Bring money. Not cheap anymore, bro.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, the whole gallery at Art Brussels. Get into it, nerds.
Fuck yeah, dude. Dude, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, Tony.
Bye.